Hello guys, in this video I'm going to teach you about class inheritance in C Sharp. C Sharp is an object-oriented programming language, and inheritance is one of the most important concepts in object-oriented programming. Inheritance allows us to define a class in terms of other class, which makes it easier to create and maintain our application. So this allows us to reuse our code, and that makes our code uh, error free and fast to implement. So let me give you an example first. So we have these three squares as you can see here. So suppose you want to make the classes of polygon. So polygon can be a rectangle or a square or a triangle, and all are we can say all are polygons, right? And some of the properties in rectangle, square and triangle are same. For example, their height and their width are same, right? So rectangle also has width and height, the square also has width and height, and this triangle also have width and height. And suppose you want to calculate the area of the rectangle, square and triangle using rectangle class, square class and triangle class. Then you need to define the length and width of all these classes. But if you think that all these length and width are similar or same in all these polygons, as we can say, so we can define a base class polygon, for example, which will contain our two variables, which are length and width, or height or and width, right? And we can use this height and width for rectangle also, for square also, and for triangle class also. Okay, so we are going to define a polygon class, which we say, or which we can say it's a base class. And we are going to define, for example, rectangle class and triangle class, which we will call them derived class. So this is a base class or parent class, and these are the derived class or the child class, which takes some attributes from your base class, which is a polygon class, right? Now this kind of implement on which this inheritance is based upon is called, or is a implementation. So rectangle is a polygon, right? Square is a polygon and triangle is a polygon. So whenever you use this concept, try to relate this is a concept. Whatever is a base class, then you can apply them in inheritance. I will give you an other example. For example, we have the base class animal, right? And we can define derived class like dog. Dog is an animal, right? Cat is an animal, so cat can be derived class, or any other animal. For example, elephant is a animal. Okay, so animal can be your base class, and the dog, cat and elephant can be your derived class. Now enough of this concept, let's try to write some code. Okay, so we will go to our uh, Visual Studio here, and we will try to make these classes. So first of all, let me define a polygon class, which will be our base class. I will write class polygon, and then I will give these two curly braces. and inside this class we will define two variables which are the member variable of this polygon class. So I will write public, and then this can be integer values, so I will say public int width comma height. Okay, so this is our base class, and suppose we want to calculate the area of the class, so we need to set the width and height first, right? So we will also define a public method which will be void set values, for example set values, and we will set the values of width and height. So we will say int a comma int b is our parameters, and in the implementation of these parameters we can say this dot width is equal to a, and in a similar way we can say this dot height is equal to b, right? Okay, so this is the definition of our base class, and this should be public. Okay, now we can define the derived class. So how we can define derived class from this base class? Once again you will write class, and let's define rectangle class. Rectangle, and in these curly braces we will define, or first of all I almost forgot this. So whenever you want to inherit polygon, so this is a base class and this is a derived class, so you need to give this colon here and then give the name of your base class, which is our polygon. So this kind of implementation, whenever you write this colon and then give the name of the base class, then your rectangle class, which is a derived class, knows that you are inheriting the values or the variables of this base class to the rectangle class. Okay, and now here we can create a method. So we can write public method called, for example, int area. Okay, so we want to calculate the area of these polygons, rectangle and triangle, right? So we can say here area can be, what can be area? We can return for rectangle, the area is the width and the height, the multiplication of both, right? So you can say width multiplied by height. Okay, so if you have noticed that I haven't defined width and height in this rectangle, but whenever you provide this base class as a inheritance class, for example, to the derived class, it inherits all the values or all the members of the base class. So rectangle also have width and height, which is inherited from the base class. Okay, and I will once again copy this class and I will paste it here, and this time I will define a triangle class. Triangle. Okay, and this also has access to the polygon members, which are width, height and set values. Okay, so the area of the triangle can be half of the height and the width. Okay, so I will divide it by 2, right? So what you have done, you have defined a base class in which you have the width and height as a public variable, and we have defined set values method in our base class which sets the value of width and height. Okay, now we have defined a derived class which is rectangle, and we uh, for inheriting the values from the base class, we just need to give colon and the name of the base class here. So now your class rectangle knows that I am inheriting from the polygon class, and I have the access to width, height and set value method in my class. Okay, similarly we have done the same for this triangle. Now to access these classes, or to define the instance of rectangle and the triangle class, we can say rectangle rect is equal to new rectangle. Okay, so we have created the object. In a similar way, we will create the object of triangle. Triangle trig is equal to new triangle. Okay, so we have created the instance of triangle class and the rectangle class, or object of both class. Now for example, I use this rectangle object from here, and whenever I press dot, you see here I have the access to set values, which is the method in the polygon class. So because rectangle was inheriting the values from the polygon, we have the access to the methods in polygon class. So we can say set values, and we can set two values, for example 10, and second value is also, for example 20. The same thing we can do for this trig or triangle object dot set values. So this has also the access to set values, and we can say this time also this is 30 and 20, for example. Okay, so whenever you create this derived class and base class, you have the derived classes object always have the public member access from the base class, right? Now to calculate the area, I can say console dot write line, and in the console I can print the area of both classes. So I say uh, rectangle area is equal to, and in the placeholder I will pass the rectangle area, which is rectangle, which is our object rect dot area. So we have the member function area in rectangle, right? Here is our area. Okay, and we will give the semicolon. In the same way we can do this for triangle. So I can say triangle area, and I will copy this triangle object and paste it here. And because this area is returning integer, this function will return an integer and will be printed here, right? Now whenever I run my program, you will be able to see the area of the triangle and rectangle. See here, rectangle area is 200, which is 10 into 20, right? And the triangle area is 300, which is 330 into 20, which is 600 divided by 2. Okay, so in this way you can define base classes and derived classes, and in this way you can implement the concept of the inheritance. And what are the uses of the inheritance? It makes your code smaller, because this width and this height and set value you have defined only at one places, and you can define multiple classes: rectangle, triangle, square, and or any other polygon, and you can use this width and height in each of the class using this inheritance, right? So it makes your code smaller, it makes your implementation faster, and it will, whenever your code is smaller, it's easy to read, and it will be more error free, right? And one more important thing is, whenever you define or declare the object or instance of your derived class, your base class will be automatically initialized, right? So once again, whenever you define the object of a derived class, your base class will be initialized automatically. So to prove this concept, or to understand this concept, I can define the constructor, for example, public polygon constructor, okay, which takes nothing, and we can print something here. So I will just copy this console.writeLine and paste it here, and I can say here that we are in base class. Okay, in a similar way, for example, I can define the constructor for this rectangle. I will just write public rectangle, and I can say, once again, I will console.writeLine, and I can say we are in derived class, or derived rectangle class. Okay, and for example, I can comment this code to demonstrate my example. So I will just comment this, and here also. Okay, so we have just declared our object rectangle, right? And when I run this program, you see here, whenever I created my object of my derived class, it calls we are in base class. So first it initializes this polygon class, and then it shows we are in derived rectangle class. So then it initializes your derived class. So whenever you declare the object of derived class, your base class will be automatically initialized. Okay. The other important thing to note is, a class which is a derived class can only inherit from one class. So for example, if you create some other class, I will create some other class here, for example, like this, and I will say this is my rectangle 1, for example, and I want to inherit from rectangle 1 and polygon at the same time. So for comma rectangle 1, this is not possible. Okay, and this will give you an error, right? Because you cannot inherit from two base classes at the same time. Okay, So when I try to run the program, it gives me an error. Okay, but you can have multiple inheritances. So I have this rectangle one, right? And what I can do is I can inherit from a rectangle class here. Okay, so what this will do is, let me copy and paste it below my rectangle class. So what this is doing, our rectangle class is inheriting from my polygon, and my rectangle one is inheriting from my rectangle class. So indirectly it's inheriting also from the polygon. So for example, I will create an instance of rectangle one class. Rectangle rec1 is equal to new rectangle one, and then whenever I use this rectangle one, and see after dot, when I use this dot here, I have the access to area, which is a part or which is a member function in our rectangle class. We have the access to set values, which is a class in our polygon class, right? So this also we have the access. We have the access to width and height, which is in our polygon class, right? So indirectly we can inherit from the polygon like this. Okay, so this is multiple inheritance. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you have understood the concept or basic concept of inheritance, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.